Okay, so welcome everybody to the third Digital Research Infrastructure Retreat. My name's Alan Reel. I run research computing up at Durham University, and I'm technical director of the NHCAR. Really, my job here is to kind of get out of the way this year, and which I've tried to do as much as possible during the planning process. Really, the origins for this came on the back of an opportunity. As a kind of tier 2 director from EPSRC, we were asked for some kind of, we were invited to submit, sort of coming out of the pandemic, proposals for kind of enhancing our capability. And rather than just putting in for like just hardware, we actually thought what it would be really good is to actually reconnect the community after that, the pandemic. And the thing which was kind of had bugged me and around kind of around sort of career development for digital research infrastructure professionals, that was whilst there's a whole load of kind of technical training available and for that's quite advanced in places. There's very little training that exists around just kind of the professional skills needed to navigate the digital research infrastructure kind of landscape and really help navigate your institution, your academics through this environment. So I think that's probably the important thing to say. Well, who is this digital research infrastructure professional? I think we're also being called digital RTPs. There's been various calls that have gone on over the summer around this, and really, I think it's kind of where this sort of uncomfort zone, or the place where we find ourselves, sort of within sort of the intersection between taking a very research approach on one side and taking a service approach, and be able to navigate both of those kind of service models. But equally, that kind of is sort of accompanied by this kind of other axis of force, which is that you actually like the technology and that stuff component, but you've got to actually articulate that to people. So you kind of find this kind of, you're in the center of this kind of service research, you kind of people and stuff, the technology, and digital research infrastructure professional kind of sits their happy places sort of in the middle of all that. This kind of builds on a whole load of stuff which a chap called Henry Neiman set up out of Oklahoma, part of an NSF kind of thing. They have a thing which is called the virtual residency, and I do encourage anybody here to go and check out Oklahoma's digital residency program. That's been running for over a decade. It is it's completely hybrid. But actually, the UK is big in, sort of the size that we can kind of do this in person. It's kind of nice. And it does concentrate on these things. And, they talk about the kind of 5 facings, of these people. But I think sometimes you have one person that does all of these things. Sometimes it's spread amongst a team and everyone has their particular specialism. But we try to really cater for people who have got this kind of these core principles, right? That sit in, they have this kind of this core, but they may be using that in a systems-facing role, dealing with back-end systems, and maybe in a data-facing role, or even like a software engineer within like software-facing, or just kind of user support, facilitator. But I think those skills that are kind of that are fostered there with really dealing with researchers are all about kind of building friends and influencing people, which actually means that there's a whole load of leadership skills that really come out of just that kind of the professional skills that are required within the DRI space. So we are going to kind of, through just various topics that we're going to cover, try to kind of take a little journey through those core common attributes of all digital research infrastructure professional roles. You will notice that we have some academics here, we have some IT people here, we've got research council people, we've got it's a very broad church, and we're all here really to learn a lot more about each other and really what motivates us. I think the community faces a whole load of challenges, you know, and I'm going to put money aside here in terms of just their professional skills development. You know, we do have a rapidly evolving, highly skilled user base at their particular thing. If you think about the people who we are supporting and enabling in the DRI professional, they are experts in their field at their thing, okay? But equally, they respect you for being an expert at your thing, right? And they want to collaborate with you, okay? I think because of that, you know, we're actually taking people on a journey, if you think about the technology side of things, where the mainstream interaction that the average person has with a computer, right? That is such a big conceptual distance away from the sort of skills and the interactions that people have with computer systems when they're using them for research, right? And somehow getting people over that hump when you only can get like half an hour of their time to get in there, you know, to do things, it is a massive challenge. I think, you know, we also have if you look at the IT industry, it is huge, right? But a lot of the stuff that's really out there in terms of training material for people or professional development, you know, it's all, you know, a lot of it is focused on the enterprise level computing, where things like, you know, the whole 5 nines of uptime and things are really important. In research, it's often that some of those things are sacrificed in order for a greater capability, and there's trade-offs. So we kind of, you know, if we're lucky, some of our systems are doing like 1.5 nines, right? And that's kind of, you know, it creates all sorts of tensions internally that things are like this, and hopefully, you know, these and the DRI Retreat's here to kind of help with colleagues to sort of like approaches to kind of navigating those space. We actually lack a whole bunch of, because of the complexity of this and the fact that it's moving so fast, conceptual distances, all these things, a lot of this stuff we don't actually know how to train people and teach people in it, okay? And so the DRI Retreat is really here about how we learn from each other. You'll probably notice that a whole load of these things we've set up through a series of panels, right, where you have lots of different perspectives where hopefully everyone feeds off each other. It kind of worked for the last couple of years. Hopefully it'll work again. You'll notice a distinct lack of PowerPoint, okay? We've taken on a whole load of feedback from previous events where we basically burned people out a lot, because we had, you know, relentless days that were really long, people online as well, but hopefully the people are, you know, the issue is that the panels were so interested, people didn't want to turn away and, you know, check their email on laptops and those various things, and that after a week of it is really, really draining. But so hopefully we've managed to kind of strike a little bit more of a balance. The other thing that we've done this time a lot more is we've relied on having an organising committee that has really helped shape and put together the whole agenda, the format. You've got twisted the arms of various panellists. You will know, if you've been before to this DRI Retreat, that sometimes, you know, because we have played a lot of things by ear, I have kind of unfortunately stood by the door and kind of got people on the way in and said, hey, you'd actually be really cool on this panel, go and sit there rather than at your table. And everyone's like, oh, but I'm totally unprepared. I said, well, that's the kind of point, because you'll just speak now from your experience. So don't worry about being totally unprepared, because people have been like literally dragged in from the door to here on the day. Just as a kind of just to show our appreciation to them, could the people who that have served on the broader panel for that have managed to twist people's arms to come and all that various things about this shaping the agenda, could you please stand up so that you can, hopefully some of them you are in this room, I'm hoping, So I know Matt is, come on, obviously. Okay, we have, so all of these people, there are probably some people hanging out online as well. So those online, we thank you too. But thank you very much everybody for in advance for that. Okay, so a few little things, right? The first one of these retreats was an experiment. The second one was an experiment. This one is still an experiment, okay? In terms of, you know, should I ask that question? Should I not ask that question? Should I, you know, what I'm interested. The only stupid question in this room and online is the one that you did not ask, okay? So please do make sure that, you know, please do stand up. We'll try to do our best in terms of linking the people who are online into the people in the room and things like this as much as we can as possible. There's probably a load of logistics things around Slido, around the fact that we've got 70% new attendees at this one this time, and probably the other 30% are either fools like me that can't get out of it, or panelists. So it's really good to see loads of new faces. Emma, who's done loads and loads and loads, and has she scarpered already? Emma, where are you? Has she gone already? She was the one that said, here's a list of things you need to tell me. So actually, I've got no accountability now for not telling anybody anything I was supposed to. So I'm going to do my job that I said I was going to do at the start, which is basically to get out of the way and welcome our first panel to kind of start to form, which unbelievably is on time. So do you want to come, everybody who's on the first panel, please do